Welcome back, everybody, to the last series of the day for the first day of broadcast at the ESL Legendary Series Grand Finals. What's up, guys? It's been a long time, but hope you guys missed me. It was about an hour of free time from the Frodan.
I did.
You missed me. Did you miss me, boss?
A little bit, yeah. Always.
We talk enough throughout the days. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, we're going to get ready for our last series of the day. It's the winners match of Group B between Darkwonyx and PinpingHo. And of course, tomorrow we're going to have the elimination matches first in the group, followed by the runner-up match, and then the semifinal, final. So there's going to be 7 matches tomorrow. Of course, the 6th today, and that's going to be the way the schedule is. Also, at the very end of the show, by the way, we've been asking you guys to send in the dankest of memes that you can create based off stuff that's happened at the event, and we're going to be showing them at the end of the broadcast and giving away the packs to special winners, so make sure to stick around if you enjoy that. Or if you don't like cheap internet humor, not a problem. You can also join us tomorrow. But we also have a special presentation at the end of everything as well. So lots of fun festivities. We had a Blizzard interview. You know, Reyna was out signing like a bajillion autographs. And, you know, TJ was holding down the fort while I was gone. So
I channeled my inner Dan. I can almost feel the presence of Dan just flow over me.
That was just me. I was standing right behind
Okay,
you.
I got you.
So our last match of the day will be coming up here. We've had some 2 slower series so far, but it seems like Darkwonyx and PinpingHo, 2 names we shouldn't be surprised who won their matches. How do you feel going into this match here based off the lineups that you've seen? Some pretty unconventional choices on both players' ends.
Yeah, okay, so the thing about Darkwonyx's lineup is I think Priest is kind of the worst class in the game, so it seems like a sketchy pick, but it's pretty good against Shaman, I think.
Right.
Now,
and Mech Mage, right? Priest is decent against Mech Mage.
Yeah, it should be if it's like a more anti-aggro list. I would have to know how many Shadow Word Pains and all the little nuances like that. It's tough to say, but it's a deck that I could see beating the Mech decks. Although Piloted Shredder's still going to be a problem. Power Mace also fantastic against Priest, so we'll see. But definitely some interesting decks from both sides. Ping's lineup, super aggressive. 4 Mech Warpers. 2 Taiwanese players brought 2 aggro decks, which was really cool. I think they're the only players in the tournament to do that, so we'll see how Darkwonyx's lineup can deal with that aggression.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this Priest pick will fit into it, but it might be one of the things where it's so unexpected, and I'm going to put this in quotation marks, but so unexpected and backwards, that it becomes this point where it actually becomes ahead of everybody else, right, where it's good. And I mean, that's something that Darkwonyx really likes to do anyways. He's not a guy who likes to abuse, so to speak, the popular stuff. He likes to do his own thing specifically against it. Meanwhile, PinpingHo has a mix of both. He seems like he's got his own Shaman mech that he likes to run. He has the traditional Mech Mage, and of course a Druid, which is like never really wrong to bring to a tournament.
Yeah. And PinpingHo was actually the only player in the top 8 in this Legendary Series Finals that qualified through points and didn't win a week, like wasn't the champion of a week. All the other players that even qualified through points, they actually ended up winning a week early on, but PinpingHo just placed consistently high over multiple weeks, and that's how he got here. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I believe he had 2 second-place finishes, and he had the opportunity to actually play in 4 out of the 8 weeks, but he automatically qualified through points early enough to where he didn't even have to accept his invite for the following week after that. So just very impressive stuff from him across the regular season.
Absolutely. So our first match is going to be Mech Mage versus Priest, and we had some questions going into it, but I was talking to some guys in the back. They're like, yeah, Priest, I mean, if it matches up against Mech Mage, it should do well, generally speaking, even though it might be surprising. So we'll see if that pans out. Maybe it's one of those things where, because the casters mentioned it was a good matchup for a class, it'll do horribly. That's kind of what happens whenever I touch things.
Yeah, well, I actually think this matchup's super close, if not Mech Mage or Mech Shaman being slightly favored, Mech Mage, sorry, being slightly favored. It really just depends on like Piloted Shredder, which I would keep here. The card is super important. Not
the timing of that was like, wow.
There we go. All right, yeah, but it's not a matchup you see a lot. You don't see a lot of Priest on ladder really, so it's tough to know how these matchups go. I would keep Wild Pyromancer too, just to beat Bloodfin Raptor and trade with a 2/3. I think that's fine.
Sure. Not to mention that there's some benefits to having just that availability of AoE to pick off those really annoying Clockwork Gnomes and whatnot.
No?
I think the matchup is a little bit more inconsistent for the Priest, though. Because if the Mech Mage is able to flood the board early on, if the Priest isn't drawn to AoE or isn't able to get a board presence to match it, they can just lose the game very early.
Definitely. One thing that might go in Darkwonyx's favor here is that PinpingHo's playing Kezan Mystic in 2 of his decks, and none of Darkwonyx's classes have secrets, so that's definitely a small edge. If, you know, Kezan Mystic is drawn, it's going to be pretty underwhelming.
Oh, man. To try to deal with such an annoying card like the Northshire Cleric, you coin Frostbolt, but I mean, otherwise it just becomes such a nuisance.
Yeah,
in almost every scenario. And the Bloodfin Raptor comes down. Might even get some higher impact, depends on whatever gets drawn next. But Priest also does have the ever-important combo of Alkanai Soul Priest and Circle of Healing. I think that's going to be one of the really big cards or combinations in this matchup.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be high impact. We'll see if he draws Power Word Shield. That's the best card here by mine.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shield was the dream there. It was like drawing a 1-mana 3/3 or something. Let's see. I guess you trade off. Pass. It's going to be one of those awkward Priest games where not too much is done on the Priest turn. Because so many of the cards are reactive. You kind of just sit there waiting for you wait for the opponent to play stuff that you can kill, and then eventually you hope they run out of cards. But things like Antonidas, Dr. Boom definitely make this harder for Priest than...
Good sequencing there from Darkwonyx.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, second Mech Warper.
That's a great draw.
Had it behind the Annoyotron as well. The big thing here with the Priest is to not get too hypey with the Alkanai Soul Priest.
Hyphy?
Yeah, you don't want to jump the gun on the Soul Priest Circle of Healing combo. Because especially if you draw it in your hand early and it's all you have, sometimes you can use it in a situation where it's the Mech Mage can just flood the board again the next turn. So,
well, this is a pretty unfortunate turn. I mean, this is not what you want to use the circle for. It barely does anything. So he just passes, not even healing anything.
yikes.
I mean, what does that even say? Right back to PinpingHo as a mage player. Pass on turn 4. This is going exactly how you expect.
Yep, yeah. He reads it pretty well though here. Places the Paladin Shredder down. The stickiest knows that if Alkanai Circle is played, he's still gonna
he got the boot! No! What are you doing? He had the boot!
Oh man, I missed it.
That's okay, I've been doing this for a while, so I catch it, but man.
It happens that often?
No, it's so rare.
I was like power farming on ladder. I've never gotten it in my life.
Power farming the boot.
Power farming. There's actually a sequence you can do where you increase your FPS, fruit per second, or is it vegetable VPS? And where you do the top 2 and then hit the water and then pop the bottom one as the water's falling.
You go north, west, east, south. That's the way you do it.
You can find more information about the boot and all your VPS needs at tempostorm.com.
Hey, thank you for that, Osmo. Thought I
It's
would
actually Monday's article. How to farm your veggies. Man, this is still pretty awkward. Like, there's still no ability to really capitalize too much off of the Alkanai Soul Priest.
Yeah, I think the right play here is just Alkanai pass.
Yep. Have it soak up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that or you can... No, yeah, this is better. Alkanai pass. There we go.
Still no boot.
Those Paladin Shredders, though, so tough to deal with if you're a Priest.
Yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's like you do have a way to deal with it next turn.
Yeah, at least part of it.
All right, middle of the road expectations.
Yep, wants to keep his piloted Shredder alive just to protect it from AoE. Still just a ton of pressure from Mage.
Right.
This is what I mean. The Shredder is just so important. Like, if you draw the Shredder, the Priest can't really deal with your board effectively. So, but yeah, Circle might stabilize it. I mean, it really depends on what follow-up the Priest has. I guess it's going to be Holy Fire into...
I was hoping for 2 toughness coming out of this Piloted Shredder.
Yeah.
At the most. Did you say 2 toughness?
Yeah. Careful what you wish for.
Oh, PinpingHo seems unaffected by that. Just going to continue pushing on forward. The second Pilot Shredder will end up coming out here.
Yeah, that second Fireball, that's just huge. The first one, a lot of times, you know, you might have to use it as removal because they're 20 or something. Just having 2 Fireballs is so much reach.
Yeah.
The Priest is basically at 7. Like, you just can't take more damage. And Holy Fire is definitely the only play here that makes sense.
All right, well,
So
at least it's not Lightwell.
Yeah, I'm well acquainted with Captain's Parrot. You can get it off of all my Shredders and Web Spinners. That card, man.
Is this a board clear? I think it is.
Yeah,
indeed it is.
it's a pretty clean one.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah.
it actually depends whether or not the Pyromancer can survive.
It's pretty unlikely that it'll survive. You have
I mean,
Power Word Shield first as far as sequencing goes.
I
yeah.
don't think it matters. Well, yeah, I guess
It would
shield
make it less
increases
likely.
it.
Yeah.
It's just the sweep, the first sweep that happens with the first spell that's played.
Oh,
All right, well, I guess it wouldn't have mattered then in the end.
Inconsequential. Still, though, something that
it,
No, it makes sense.
This
You-
is better,
Yeah,
actually.
you actually keep the Power Word Shield.
that's
just
true.
something that will survive.
it was unlikely even if you use Power Word Shield.
Jeez, that Lotheb.
Yeah, pretty devastating.
Oh, just threatening lethal next turn.
Wow.
No big deal.
Also, I'm just gonna put a little wrench in that plan, but
Right. Yeah, interestingly enough, I mean, if Darkwonyx can weather the storm, like, you know, oh my gosh.
haha!
It's just, it's so much damage.
Just gonna play it all willy-nilly.
Really?
You require my assistance.
All right.
Yeah, balls on the table, why not?
Yeah, it looks like Pimping requires Antonitis' assistance. I don't know. Okay. I mean, I like that play, I guess. You've already seen one Shadow of Death. Lotheb's still here. Yeah.
Well, if he mind controls the Antonitis next turn, will he be dead? I don't think so. No, he won't.
Well, there's 10 damage there, so he's got 22 damage next turn
Yeah,
if Antonitis gets taken.
Yeah. I guess it's not.
But at the same time, you have to remove that, so that's your best course of action. Interesting interaction as well. You don't
thinking.
you don't get Fireball off of mind controlling Antonitis, but that's gonna do it just for game number 1, just because of that double Fireball play. So Mech Mage ends up prevailing, and the Frodan curse continues. I guess.
The Shredders, man. They're so good. Every deck, every matchup is just so core.
Yeah. And it's got to be contributing to why priests are in such a bad spot right now. Just the popularity of Piloted Shredders. It's not even put into decks because it's good against certain things. It's put into decks just because it's good in general.
Yeah. And I mean, the only real counter is Fen Creeper. Because even Sludge Belcher, think about the classes that are playing Piloted Shredder, right? It's like Druid, Rogue, Mage. These classes all have a 1 damage hero power. So, even playing Sengens in your deck isn't really going to help you against those too much. So.
Gotta play Fen Creeper.
Gotta play
It's on curve.
It's new meta, man.
You heard it here first.
It's the new Belcher.
It's the new Mogushan
So
Fen
Warden.
Belcher.
Motion Warden. No, that is definitely not the counter to Pilot
Ocean
Shredder.
Warden was a fantastic choice. for that.
You preach it right, Ned. You preach
I
it.
will. Everyone is so judgmental. Anytime I play something cool.
We're trying to help you right now. This is an intervention. Bogushun Warden
I
is
have
not
won
good.
100% of my tournaments this month, Brodan.
Whoa!
I guess I can't argue with that logic.
He's done his part.
Druid versus Druid is coming up here. A matchup that's often defined by who gets the early tempo plays, whether it's through a wild growth and getting ahead on the mana curve, or an early innervate play that forces your opponent to always react to you. And that can easily be what happens here. But there is some interesting divergence, right? We have more of a token-esque approach versus a fast mid-range approach. So who has the upper hand here right now in terms of the deck's lineup?
Well, I got to give it to the token deck just because matchup mostly, well, in a traditional Druid mirror, it just comes down to who draws Wild Growth. You know, if one player draws Wild Growth, the other doesn't, he's going to win. If both players draw Wild Growth, then it's even. And if neither player draws Wild Growth, then it's even. But in the case where you're playing cards like Echoing Ooze, stuff like that, you win the game in the situation where neither of you draw Wild Growth, like we saw happen in Darkwonyx's last match against Chalky. And, I mean, Hero Siege, a great opening from him. Definitely a very powerful draw. Wild Growth is just so good.
Yeah, and he has the Wild Growth in his opening hand and a pretty good curve to follow it up.
Yeah, but you know, at the same time, PinpingHo also had something to do too.
That's true.
Well, Kazan Mystic. I mean, it's still something to play on curve. It's just that it's very vulnerable. It's piloted Shredder the first half of it.
Yeah. I think it was a decent read for the tournament, depending Kazan Mystic, but with the style and the nature of this tournament where you don't get to pick your counter deck. You can't like lose against a hunter or a mage and then, oh, let me just play my deck or one of my decks that has Kazan Mystic in it. So it's very risky, and it's paid off a little bit, but against Darkwonyx, who's not even running any decks that can have secrets, it's just a strictly worse piloted Shredder.
Yeah. Well, even in this case, though, it is a 4-drop at least, right? He can at least get something on the board. 4 mana, 4/3, it's bad, but it's not the absolute worst. It's like Spellbreaker, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, those stats have been shared across a few other things as well. Is it time? I mean, dropping the Violet Teacher honors the curve a little bit better, but the Shade Next Rammus, you know, those opponent Shade of Next Rammus would be able to kill it off, pick it easily. So the second Shade, is that the better play?
Yeah, when you have 2 Shades, it's so easy to just win with a Savage Roar at some point in the game. So I like getting this down as early as possible. I mean, that's just his win condition. He'll attack if he absolutely has to, but mostly he wants those Shades to just sit there as long as possible because they do just threaten to win the game on their own at some point.
I mean, he already has Savage Roar in hand.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It's going to be pretty quick before we need to start counting up points for lethal, especially if he draws into like second Savage Roar or even just Force of Nature. Now this Shade is going to be pretty problematic. Of course he wanted to get the Shade out earlier, but eventually he's going to have to throw something into the Shade.
Yeah, I don't like this play here. The correct play here is Violet Teacher, because regardless of what minion he plays, it's going to have Taunt. It's not like PinpingHo's going to ignore Violet Teacher. So Teacher's better, because then you still have Druid of the Claw for turn 8 to go with your Savage Roar. And it has pretty much the same stats. It doesn't really change. I suppose it forces the hero power to do it this way. And you don't have to worry about Black Knight, because PinpingHo only has access to 5 mana, so maybe this is better.
He values the Violet Teacher a little bit more.
Well, regardless of what happens, that Shade will get also sniped easily by the Keeper of the Grove.
I'd like to see Harrison here.
Yeah, it fits pretty good. It fits the mana curve a little bit better. Although Pilot Shredder, I mean, how much do you lose by playing the Shredder over theirs? And doesn't feel like that much. I think either would be okay, but I like Harrison just because the most powerful time to play Harrison, if it doesn't work in the matchup, is just right on curve.
Yeah, definitely. Harrison's the play here if you think that you have the time this game to play both minions, but if you think you're only going to play one of the two, then Piloted Shredder is the play. Which makes sense. Next turn he'll likely want to swipe and hero power, maybe keeper hero power. So in that case, it's better to play the Shredder now, but yeah, if he does end up playing Harrison next turn, then that's fine as well.
Well, I think you have to imagine he wants to snipe that shit next turn. He doesn't want to take too much damage on the other end.
Oh, for sure.
It's important, like you said, to keep in track how much damage he has. 9. So next turn, those shades would be 11 damage plus the 6, so he'd be at 17. That's, I mean, it's still a pretty significant amount. But he hasn't done any damage leading up to it, so.
Well, he uses the Wild Growth this turn. He didn't really have anything else to do. It's not a card that you see played very often. You usually play it in the first couple turns or once you hit 10 mana. But he really wants more mana to work with, because especially if he draws into like Force of Nature over the next next 2 turns, with those shades still could open up opportunities for lethal, and this gets him closer to being able to do that. And he knows that this game is probably going to come down to the wire with like who draws into their combo first, who gets their opponent into range to be able to do it first.
It is a lot to take 8 damage on the opposite swing.
Yeah.
Assuming, like, say your opponent had some kind of clear.
Mostly I just think the Wild Growth was so you could play 2 teachers next turn.
That's true. That's true as well.
So I guess I'd like to see a swipe here. Might be better to... No, swipe's pretty much the only play. I'd like to see Wild Growth instead of Hero Power too.
Right.
That Ancient Allure means he can have plenty of resources this game. Just wants the mana. Alright, well. PinpingHo is super far ahead in the damage race.
Pay attention, class.
There they go.
Maybe these teachers can help catch up, though. Especially since they can load up really fast and the Savage Roar could finish it, but still. Maybe this Ancient of Lore will be the big game changer, because when you climb so far ahead in that, on board, being able to answer with damage and draw on cards, then it's really difficult, because Druid still has a hard time removing that without committing his own Ancient of Lore. Or, sorry, his own Shade into the Ancient. So he's going to be losing his own damage by doing that.
So he opts not to trade. I guess we're going to be seeing a Sludge Belcher Hero Power. Just Ancient Allure. Okay, that's aggressive. Imagine Power of the Wild here.
Power of the Wild.
That'd be pretty insane.
He has 2 draws for it.
Yeah. It's true.
He also might draw into combo next turn. Although, would he be able to fit everything? No, right? The Treant, there'd be 2 slots left after the 1/1, so.
He'd lose a Treant.
Yeah. Alright, so let's see what he picks up off these Ancient Allure. I heard you like Ancient Allures. So we had your Ancient Allure draw and Ancient Allure.
So is this good here? I can't tell.
The Power of the Wild! Oh
There
my
we go.
God. Let's see. Well.
That's actually going to be a pretty ridiculous board.
6, 12, 8. It's 20 damage. 21 damage. Right now, if you just Savage Roar, 20, 23? No, 24 damage. Wow, that's crazy. Just from the Savage Roar and the Power of the Wild.
Instruction begins.
Wants to pop the Shredder first?
Yeah.
Give it a nice
Checking
little
first.
poke.
Instruction begins.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Darkwonyx understands that he's going to be very far ahead on board, so he just wants to clear the board as much as he can on PinpingHo's side so that he doesn't have to worry about dying to Savage Roar out of nowhere.
Man, if this picks up Swipe.
Whoa! That
Whoa.
is pretty big.
That is so. That's massive. I mean, you're just going to have such a strong board.
Just kill the Lord.
That board's insane.
Playing around combo. That, I mean, there's still so much around, but you have a Savage Roar. It doesn't matter how much health you have.
And,
Well,
that might be it. I don't think there's anything that
let's
you can do
see.
here.
those were the 2 best draws in a row.
I feel like there is a way to be defended, but There's only so much damage you can limit off the board.
You can taunt up and use Keeper to snipe down like the or
I mean, if you silence
the
shade and you snipe the Keeper, it's only about 1 damage difference. You might as well snipe the body teacher, so it's 1 less body. Six, 9 from the teachers, 11, 13.
You got
plus
this, Dan.
12.
You can do it.
I'm gonna have to count once he finishes the sequence.
I'll let you handle
The
this
thing is,
one.
like, you silence that, but it's still another body to get Savage Roar off of. All right, some quick napkin math.
Whoa!
right.
I don't think we even need to do it anymore. I don't think Darkwonyx even needs to count.
Please don't rope again.
Just
you got this, champ.
Sorry about
There you go.
that.
You know.
I mean, at that point, you don't really have to count anymore.
Yeah. Just play as you go.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. That just happened.
Well, I don't know if we need to count lethal, but I think that's close enough. Wow. Well, looks like Darkwonyx
Brutal.
is going to tie the series.
I mean, that was four draws or 3 draws consecutively. That was just game ending. It was double Power of the Wild into a Savage Roar #2.
Yeah, you drew Power of the Wild for a turn, and then Azure Drake into exactly the second one, into the second Savage Roar. Right off the bat of, or right after the double swipe draw, you know, it was just, I don't know, it's Darkwonyx's day for sure.
Yeah.
He brought good decks, but the draws are definitely working out.
Kicks back, puts his hands behind his head, looks up at the sky, and claims himself to be the Scandinavian Lord of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
It's well, I mean, PinpingHo, he just has to move past that one. It's just sometimes those kind of games happen. They don't happen all the time, and you know, maybe you just move on. Now he has Shaman versus the Warrior. Personally, one of my favorite matchups in all of Hearthstone, but it's a different one this time around because it's more aggressive Shaman. And you know, last time I checked, Warrior is still one of the best classes at dissecting a mech aggressive deck because if you have that Fiery War Axe, you stop it early on. But then again, of course, you know, how does the Shaman relate to the Warrior? Maybe it's a little bit better against it because of some of the smaller annoying things like Power Maze or whatever else. What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. Power Mace is definitely less effective against Warrior than other decks. I mean, you can still use it to clear out Acolyte, and it's still a good card, but it's not like game-ending like it is against other aggressive strategies. So I'm not too sure how the matchup goes, honestly. I would imagine that Shaman's favored because traditional Shaman is favored against traditional Warrior. And Mech Shaman still has access to the totems, which are like the biggest reason the class is favored, but it just has like a very strong proactive strategy on top of it. Probably won't be running out of cards. You still have Azure Drake, still have Dr. Boom. It's just about as much card draw as a traditional list, so yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Shaman for sure. Although with this hand, maybe...
Fiery War Axe, 2 Armor Smith.
Yeah, Armor Smith is a great card and it's definitely fine on its own, but like the win percentage for Warrior when you draw double Armor Smith has to be above 95. Like when you get 2 of them early, it's so much value. Like especially against an aggressive deck.
Yeah. A lot of times one of the reasons why this matchup can be weak for Warriors because they're spending cards or like weapon charges to remove totems that the Shaman's basically getting for free. So they gain like small amounts of card advantage over the course of the game, and sometimes you have to throw like a Despite charge or a Fire War Axe charge into like a taunt totem. And I mean, the Armor Smiths can also act as like totem killers early on, which is actually a pretty big deal.
It's even going to help clear out the Spider Tank next turn.
Yeah, that's very true.
Shredder is a good draw though. Yeah, that's what I mean about Power Mace. Normally it's just insane on turn 3. You kill 2 things and then just, oh man. But yeah, against Warrior it's just kind of mediocre.
Yeah, especially since you feel like you have to rush, but there's so many ways for it to stop the pressure as well. It's got taunts, life gain.
I think I'd like a shield block here. Next turn, Armor Smith, Taskmaster. Wouldn't fault him for playing Armor Smith though. It's also a fine play.
I think it's like what you said. The second Armor Smith in tandem is really effective against the aggressive deck. So it allows him to get ahead on board earlier because he knows Shaman's less likely to run things like, you know, Lightning Storm or fight back on board if he gets control with the Taskmaster.
This Shaman deck, though, can punch out some pretty ridiculous burn.
Yeah, I mean, if Warrior doesn't see Harrison, that Doomhammer is just 16 points of damage on its own.
And with the Rock Biter added in, or some support spells like Lava Burst, or even Crackle, it can do some pretty insane amounts of damage in a single turn that sometimes you don't really expect.
I mean, that Pilot Shredder is still really scary. It's got the punch of a Fire Elemental on turn 4. Yikes. But thankfully, those double Armor Smiths will come into handy here. Regain some of that life.
Regain some of it.
That is, unless like another Millhouse Mana Storm pops from this thing.
Succubus calling it. Oh, well. Still pretty good.
Slightly problematic. Can't clear it off this turn, so he's going to have something to work with the following turn.
Are we going to see Doomhammer? I think so.
I mean, just look at what damage. If it's 16 damage and you're able to chop a lot of that down, yeah. If you want to protect your,
kill
your
the minions.
right?
Yeah.
Then you also have the ability to leverage the damage on the Pyromancer.
Yep, gotta kill the Armor Smith first. There we go. Alright. Yeah, that's exactly what I would make. So, I wonder if Shaman can burst through this. I mean, that was a fantastic
Double
start
Sludge
for Warrior.
Belcher. Double Sludge
Whoa!
Belcher. Oh!
Hello!
That Doomhammer belongs in a museum.
Right off the
Yeah.
top.
This has just kind of been the story of Darkwonyx's past couple matches, you know? Right off
That's
the top,
right,
best
man.
possible.
He's top kecking and wrecking.
That face right there is the face of a man who's been blessed.
Well, I mean, that kind of woke everybody up.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, well, first world problems for the Warrior. How do I hold all these weapons?
Discarding cards as well. But he doesn't even care.
Not even. I mean, it's Fiery War Axe.
Yeah.
He's got other things that, well, not only stop the aggression, but he's got ways to start putting pressure back after time is, after he's like basically outcarded the Shaman. Absolutely brutal. Not to mention that it's like he's got a lot of his life gains, so like Shaman can't go for the ultimate win. He's got 2 Shield Blocks and Shield Maiden and 2 Sludge Belchers. That's collectively 25 health.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, sorry, even more with the Sludges.
Yeah,
I forgot. So upwards to 30 plus, depends on if they overkill.
I mean, to some extent, you have to keep Harrison Jones in the back of your mind, but especially with the more aggressive Shaman, you just cannot afford to play around it. So it's not like he did anything wrong there by playing the Doomhammer. It was a really great play. He sequenced it nicely when he actually did play it. It's just sometimes that's Hearthstone.
A wise man once told me, sometimes.
He must have been very, very wise.
Well, what do you do here? You have so many options. I guess you just have to slowly, systematically dissect the Shaman deck and just outweight him.
Sludge Belcher is actually really effective against this mech deck because the 3/5. This is one of the classes that plays Piloted Shredder without a hero power that can deal 1 damage. So just having a 3/5 taunt is super powerful.
Hey, Mr. Sapin. Is that your call? Someone said Mr. Sapin.
No, I said Succubus. Close. The other purple one.
Gotcha. The other purple one with legs. He said right before a whip was enacted. It looks like he's just going to have to clear this off easily as well. And, I mean, pretty much whatever Darkwonyx does, he's so far ahead.
Yeah.
He's got so much removal. He's got big bombs. And pretty soon, Shaman just can't keep up with this because everything he's going to draw is going to be paling in comparison.
I mean, if the Harrison hadn't been drawn, like, he'd be getting dangerously close to lethal at this point. drawing into some of that extra burn as well.
I mean, he still had 2 Sludge Belchers and
That's true. It's very true.
and a shield block.
Might not have even needed it.
Yeah, and I mean, double armor smith early, the war axe. It was just like a very perfect draw for warrior, even without the top deck.
All right. I mean, I don't think Darkwonyx has enough cards yet.
No, not quite.
But I mean, it's going for more just control. You're
Yeah.
not trying to like rush out anything as well. I mean, PinpingHo should stay in a little bit longer just to see if anything could happen in terms of like paying for his mirrors. But it feels like at this stage, he's just like scouting information, just trying to go through, see what else he can find.
Yeah,
Really nothing else here.
Feeling out the deck as well, because we know for a fact that this match is going to go to the blind stage. It's going to go to at least a game 4. So making sure that you know as much about your opponent's decks as possible before going to that blind stage match helps you make smarter decisions as to what deck you need to pick to go into it.
All right, well, low type comes down, making the spells cost a little bit too much, but at the same time, I think Darkwonyx is also searching for ways to start turning it on where he can be aggressive. Still hasn't found his Gromach yet, though.
That's probably why he's digging. 'Cause
It
even
could
though
be.
his hand is good, it's still needs to find a way to win.
Well, Anoyatron is not Deathwing, so I don't know if PinpingHo can do anything with this one.
I think the plan is to fatigue the warrior at this point.
Well, I mean, he is drawing a lot of cards, but still seems like Darkwonyx is plenty away from fatiguing at this point.
Well, to get past this Anoyatron, he actually has to draw more cards.
Either that or this is the most elaborate form of BM I've seen in a long time.
That's true then. This is a piece of art.
All right. Well, I mean, the onus is on PinpingHo to see if how long he's going to stay in here. This kind of reminds me of a basketball game I played when I was in middle school, and they had 2 6-footers, and I was the tallest person at like 5'5", and they could touch the rim, so we got destroyed.
Can't touch the rim for it.
I mean, Harrison is essentially a 6-footer on a middle school basketball team,
It's played on turn 5. He can draw you.
even though he's 5'4".
Hello.
Ah.
There's Rain at
The bombs will end the game, so that does it for game number 3. Darkwonyx is up 2-1 and 1 game away from going to the top 4.
Wow.
Yep. I mean, sometimes there are just players in Hearthstone tournaments that cannot be stopped, and Darkwonyx seems like, he's having one of those days.
Sure.
Good for him. I mean, it's just been pretty insane so far, to be honest. I mean, man, that Harrison, that swipe was like a 1 out of the swipe was like a 1 out of 17 to win that game.
Right.
Yeah.
And if he didn't draw it, he would have lost. So it's like, yeah, super close games. But yeah, just like one
It's his
key
day.
draw really turning it every time. So I'll see if it keeps going on, or maybe Ping can get some better RNG or something, turn it around. I mean,
Throw some salt over his shoulder and
Yeah.
make sure to look away from any broken mirrors.
PinpingHo is actually a very resilient player. He was one of the few players that qualified twice from the open bracket, which is a really impressive thing. It's like 500 players or something. And to do that twice in the course of the span of 8 weeks is actually really impressive. And he took some losses earlier on in the season. Of course, we mentioned earlier he was the only player to not win a week, but still get invited because of points. So he's used to being down in series, and we've seen him actually come back a few times. So it's not unlike him. And you could tell he's not really fazed by losses. He's not really fazed by falling behind in a series. He's a pretty calm guy. So the blind pick stage, anything can happen. And it looks like PinpingHo has chosen correctly here. Druid versus Warrior.
he has, but I feel like every time, I'm telling you, man, every time we say like, oh, this is a good matchup for Druid.
It's only
like,
you.
Druid's gonna lose. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just me.
The caster curse.
A lot of upsets. To be fair, though, bad matchup usually only means like 60-40, so anything
Right.
can happen.
Sure. I mean, of course, if you're anticipating druids and rogues and mages, and you're bringing warrior to try to counter them or prey on them, you can tilt your percentages towards druid. That's effectively why warrior is even relevant nowadays. But I haven't seen things like, Black Knight to swing it against the druids. But the druids have also been playing faster, so they don't necessarily go as taunt heavy or rampy as we've come to expect over the past month.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of keeping War Axe against Druid.
Yeah.
It doesn't kill anything.
One of the only classes where Fire War Axe is like not an auto keep
And
when you're playing warrior.
Execute I would keep. And the Armor Smith, of course.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want as early minions against Druid. I think Darkwonyx is going to take his time here. No need to coin out this Armor Smith. You don't need it out right now.
Yeah, I think the coin is better served, having a power turn a little bit earlier, whether it's pushing out, like say you pick up a couple 6 drops instead and you just smooth it out with Shield Maiden, Sylvanas. Those are more useful in the mid game against Druid as opposed to playing normal stuff, like Armor Smith on turn 2.
Oh, first
Blasting
shot.
off.
First shot.
Isn't that kind of like the equivalent of offensive GG to launch the rocket?
Is it?
I think so. You're supposed to launch it if the game's over.
Oh, no, I just do it because I can, man. That's a sign of professionalism in Hearthstone. So if you get on the first shot, you push the left button twice. Fun fact.
Yeah, but you have to press it spaced out. If you do it too quick, there's a certain percentage chance, I think, where it might not.
There's RNG involved with rocket launching now? Is there a point of... Oh, man. I can't get away from it, Dan, in Hearthstone.
That's right. That's right. Actually, you're completely true because the melons and the veggies are also random.
Yeah, I can't even get a boot. I've gotten this weird purple-looking fruit thing, but I think it's a graphical bug. It's like a purple circle.
Are you sure?
Looks
Like
like
an
a
eggplant?
It looks like a grape, but it's just like a neon flat color.
Yeah, it looks like a grape that was made
Oh,
in
is it kind of like
MSP.
when things, when like a client's about to crash something and everything pixelates?
Maybe. Mine's never done that, but yeah, it's just like... Yeah, I don't know. I'll show it to you sometime.
Nice.
Sounds like a
Look forward
fart.
to it. Yeah. You're invited, TJ.
Thank you. I have a lot to contribute when it comes to the RNG of Hearthstone board environments.
PinpingHo. Well, this is not exactly the ideal way to deal with it. The Shade Next Rammus is often a card that can be really powerful against the warrior, just because it's so hard for them to deal with for a long time. It can take out big threats or even become a big finisher if the game ends up dragging long enough. But this early game has been a little rocky without having the pilot shredder that you want on this team.
I would have loved to see a keeper here shooting the Armor Smith for 2. That would have been really good. Because you force the warrior to waste his Fiery War Axe charge if he wants to kill the keeper with Deathbite, but he'd most likely just run the Armor Smith in. But either way, you're killing an Armor Smith, so it's like a 1-for-1, and you're taking out the second charge of the weapon. Playing it this way is fine too, I suppose. Just a lot more late game oriented.
You'd have 2 keepers, so
Yeah.
Is there merit to saving the keeper? Because obviously one of them is like, you want to make sure that Sylvanas can't do too many nasty things to you. But the second, of course, is, is there a second target ideally that you want to line it up?
No, Sylvanas is usually the only silence target in a warrior deck. Some of them play piloted Sky Golem. Occasionally you see Karen, but it's pretty rare.
everything else is just sort of a luxury silence, like Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, I guess Acolyte as well sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a big fan of this play here. A lot of times people try to save Harrison for like a really juicy weapon. That just doesn't usually pan out. You want to play it on curve here, especially when it contests Sludge Belcher so well. I mean, of course, the Warrior's going to have the Deathbite, but not a huge deal. Getting back to the important stuff, though, do you know what the bottom left great thing does with fireworks? Because I click on it quickly and little embers fall out, but I could swear the fireworks have gone off once or twice.
Really? All I know in the bottom left is that you can lift the oven and then close it. Or is it an oven or furnace?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, you lift it and close it and these little sparks fly out. And I think you can light
like the little embers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not. I don't think you can light the bomb and then like fireworks come out.
Are you sure? The bomb doesn't
No.
do anything? Wow.
It confuses casters at tournaments.
Wow, bottom left, underpowered.
The top right also has a lot of. You just pull the levers and you can like summon random stuff.
Yeah, that stuff's super fun.
Yeah.
It's just like the great thing is disappointing because every other part of the map is so fun, you know. If you can't actually launch the fireworks in it. So yeah, Shade and X-Rams. It's in play and stuff.
Is it time to bust it out?
5 power, 5 health. That is, of course, the number 1 higher than 4 and 1 less than 6. I think he will attack it.
Great observation.
Yeah, I tried. I don't know, man. To be fair, this turn is kind of tough to decide. He pretty much has to decide whether he wants to throw the keeper down or whether he wants to kind of save it to be good later in the game. He's just going to go for the swipe.
And he's going to hope his opponent has to attack to that shade to get rid of it.
Yeah, Pimping's been super conservative with those keepers, which makes some sense. They used to be super important in the early days of Warrior. There used to be a lot of things you wanted to silence, but these days it's pretty much just Sylvanas and just Acolyte of Pain when you do it on curve. So I'm a fan of just throwing him out, but you know he's got a lot of cards in hand. No reason to throw the keeper away, I guess.
Sure. So tossing out Harrison and execute. I feel like that's generally what you want to do. This weapon still can challenge, but you still have Harrison Jones to get ahead of any Ancient of Lore play.
Isn't pretty sure attacking that with the weapon was a little better than using the execute. I mean, you just drew the Taskmaster. That execute's gonna be able to kill anything. Despite not so much.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, now that he drew Dr. Boom.
Well, turn 7, he might have been thinking, well, maybe it's Ancient of Lore. In that case, it would have been consequential, because either way, he would have taken the same amount of damage. Either way, the execute would have dealt with one thing, the Despite would have dealt with one thing. So he'd be punished here, though, if he did go for the Dr. Boom play. Just because if he had done it the other way around and used the Death Bite charge and saved the Cruel Taskmaster, he would have had to wait to deal with a bigger body.
Yeah, I think Dr. Boom feels pretty nice here considering the circumstance. He just used an execute.
Yeah, Ping has to decide between that and Lore. It seems pretty straightforward. It is pretty risky though, like you mentioned. Execute is Warrior's one of the decks that can have kind of the easiest time dealing with Dr. Boom. If you have that Dustbite primed, you attack, the Boom bots go away, and then you just use your execute, and it's pretty clean. And you don't usually care too much about taking the damage as Warrior. You have some extra life to play with. But yeah, in this case, you know, Darkwonyx might have to fish for Shield Slam. He might just pull the trigger on Brawl. He might just attack Dr. Boom, which is a little bit man mode, but you know, it works.
That's a little bit man mode. I feel like that's not man mode at all. Man mode would be to attack like that, and then Brawl. And let the best man win.
Oh, jeez. Oh, it's a Boombot. I say that's not too bad of an outcome. Of course, you wanted his Harrison to come out of that one, but at least it's not Dr. Boom.
Yeah, you know, that's a good play. Brawl's a card that's pretty tough to get value out of against Druid. A lot of times when you Brawl, it's going to take up your entire turn, and then your opponent will just be the first person to play stuff, so you still lose initiative. But in this case, it's fine, because like I said, it's tough to get value out of in general. Druid doesn't really need to play more than 2 minions to threaten lethal. And it seems better than the play where he could have Taskmastered his Harrison and traded up. But they were kind of close.
Well, PinpingHo is going to be very high up in cards. The one thing that I was trying to look for to see if there was an opportunity to have Darkwonyx potentially kill his opponent, especially considering that Druid's kind of on lowish health.
Yeah.
You know, there's a Death Bite out, Gromash, that's 14 damage. I mean, there is that possibility. But, you know, it might be the opposite way around if Druid's able to put up some taunts and make sure to deny that ability.
Yeah, it's super important that Ping got access to Ancient Lore in this game. Like some games you play with Druid in this matchup, you just don't see it in the top half of your deck, and those become nearly impossible to win. It really is the most important card, and You know, like we mentioned about the Fiery War Axe, the mulligans are kind of weird in this matchup. Like, as the Druid, for example, I would keep Ancient Allure most of the time.
All right, so he's playing his big game hunter because he's trying to set up for the Savage or Force of Nature combo.
Yep, it is turn 9 though, so Darkwonyx is going to be pretty aware of that. He just has to decide how he wants to prepare for it.
Well, with the BGH gone, it opens up an opportunity for Rag, but if you get poor luck with the Ragnaros, then you could just end up being dead the next turn.
Ragnaros hits one of the 4 attack minions. It would be 5 plus 9, it's 9, 23 damage, the combo. So he'd be
alive.
barely safe. That's a 50-50.
I definitely like to see a shield block. I mean,
Yeah.
the Druid has a million cards. It's not... I don't feel like this is a great Ragnaros, you know? Like, when the best case scenario is you only go down to 1. Versa.
I mean, you're barely alive. But then on the same time,
You only go down to 1, and then you have a chance
Ragnaros might win. But I still think shield block is more appropriate. I agree.
Yeah, he's going to attack first and save the armor. I don't like this because he could rush Shield Slam, but that's fine. Alright.
Okay.
Got to choose between armor and weapon. He's going to go with weapon. That's a solid play. In case Darkwonyx wants to play one of his 8 drops next turn. Alright, well.
It's 20 damage. He has 23 life, so just keep setting up a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, Keeper of the Grove here. I mean, it does deal with the Taskmaster pretty well, but it leaves you with not many other great options. I'd like to see an Ancient Allure, I think.
Right. You can also rat the 2-2.
I must safeguard the
Also put 4 bodies on the board for Savage Roar, but I guess it doesn't really matter too much because how much life could he possibly gain? And you already have the full combo in your hand. But, well, Sludge Belcher. It's a little bit of a wall. But out of all these options, he can only play 1.
Yeah, I don't know. At that point, from this point on, you're going to always be threatened with the combo as well. So the Savage War Force of Nature is just going to continue to pressure you. I feel like there's almost no way for the Warrior to recover this.
Yeah, it is kind of notorious for being Warriors' hardest matchup, Fast Druid. Especially if they get Wild Growth, they're just going to have a very bad time. And biggest issue, honestly, is just the fact that they threaten combo the entire time. And their minions are large. So the fact that most Warriors' removal is weapon-based, that's pretty sick. Yeah, the fact that most Warriors' removal is weapon-based just means you take a lot of damage to keep the board clear in the mid-game, and then you're just always in danger of dying to combo as it goes on.
Well, I think he's 1 damage off being able to kill him with combo.
Yep. It's a little bit more than that even.
Yeah, Black Knight kind of
Oh, yeah, he's
effectively
actually 3 damage off.
yeah, covers the same.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, 3 damage off.
Wrath for 1 here is super clean.
What can he even draw that's going to be able to give him some more time? He's already been through Brawl, seen shield blocks.
I don't know. There's almost no card, I think. Expulsor Sheep is not it. Yeah,
Interesting choice, kind of uncommon.
Yeah.
It feels like people are gravitating closer towards the GVG release Warrior, right? Where
Yeah.
they played Explosive Sheep and Bomb Lobbers.
Yeah. Kit-Kats was a big fan of the sheep. It's an interesting card.
You're not a fan of the
Darkwonyx is-
Sheep?
No, I always preferred Armor Smith. But I guess, you know, Darkwonyx is playing both, so also makes a lot of sense. It is good with Whirlwind if you're trying to kill 2/3s, I guess.
Yeah.
taste my
Okay, well that should wrap it up.
I guess that's about the best play, but
Yeah. He doesn't
pretty
even
underwhelming.
really. He doesn't even need Savage Roar. Savage number 2 is overkill by a big mile. So we're going to game number 5, and Darkwonyx, even though he jumped out to a 2-1 lead, it's like we're going to go to the final game at the end of the series here, and the winner, of course, getting to the top 4 spot.
Is this our first Game 5. I think it is.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
First series that went the distance.
Yeah. There you go. Good stuff.
It's not over yet, PinpingHo.
So I kind of see with this format where people are blind picking their decks. When you run into a good matchup, it's just so awesome. Like when Darkwonyx managed to play against Freeze Mage with his Warrior, for example, or here where PinpingHo matched his Druid into a Warrior.
Right.
It's so hard to lose on some of these matchups. But I mean, that's kind of the nature of the format. When there's no bans, there's not, you do just kind of blind pick. Your opponent's not forced to play the same thing again. It's pretty interesting. Like maybe now that they've seen, each player's seen what the other one picked, like in the blind pick stage. So maybe that'll affect what they do this time. Maybe PinpingHo doesn't want to go Druid again because it's predictable. Maybe Darkwonyx won't go with Warrior because he doesn't want to get wrecked by Druid again. So we'll see.
You're starting to delve into the complexity and intricacies of the game number 5 of this format. Because like you said, it's the second game of blind pick, and they've seen what their opponent sort of favors, and there's so many mind games that go into it. You have to like read whether or not your opponent is going to pick the same deck.
Mm-hmm.
You have to read your opponent's tendency towards what deck they're going to pick, and maybe just pick a deck that would counter that one. There's just so much to think about, and it's really tough to decide what deck to play in this circumstance. Darkwonyx is going to opt to switch it up, which is probably a smart choice because it's a pretty likely scenario that PinpingHo goes with the Druid again, like he did.
He's going to trust in what Reynad says the worst class in the game at the moment.
Yeah.
He's going to try to do it with Priest. So, if he gets past this Druid and he's able to win his series with playing Priest, I would say Darkwonyx has earned this one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, what's interesting here is that even though it is a bad matchup, there's like a 20% chance that Priest just stomps on Druid. And the way it does it is with exactly the draw that he got with Circle Blade Master. So I would even keep the Light of the Naru, because you're just all in on your 4/7. That's...
And you can keep that thing chugging for a pretty long time.
Yeah, PinpingHo's draw is fantastic too, though. He's got Wild Growth and he's got other cards, so...
Right. He's got Wild Growth in ways that make sure that he doesn't like all in and have nothing else to play. Like he's Wild Growthing towards eventually the Ancient of Lore.
Definitely.
But still a while off.
Piloted Shredder would probably be the best draw for him at this point. Oh!
Forgot about that.
That's right, Piloted Shredder number 3.
Eddie. And it's not golden.
Casuals, man.
It's not a Golden Yeti.
So maybe PinpingHo is not a level 54 warrior.
That was what Max said earlier. He's like, I don't play Golden Basic cards because I think it gives net information to my opponent.
Information that he doesn't think is necessary to give. And I mean, there's almost nothing that you can take from that, because most players that compete on a competitive level have all the classes at 60 anyway.
Huh, interestingly enough, deal with that Yeti through Light of the Naru and the Wild Pyromancer.
I mean, I think that's the play. I don't see anything much better. Pyromancer Light of Naru is surprisingly awkward just because
it leaves it. I mean, it leaves it very weak at 1 health.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's better targets to hero power down.
It's true. I'd like to just see a swipe here.
Yeah, this is a pretty clean swipe. You can even use the coin to either Wrath to cycle, clear it off, or hero power.
I want to say I would cycle. Tough call, though.
I like having the Wrath just because of a lot of the small annoying things, like if they have a Northshire Cleric. So I think I'd rather use the hero power and conserve the card.
That makes a lot of sense. Ping does value the Wrath highly. I mean, he kept it.
And his hand is okay. And coming up on turn 7, he does already have the Ancient of Lore in his hand. So he's got ways to sort of refill his hand or refresh it.
The draw for Darkwonyx is pretty solid too. Just keeps developing minions, which is exactly what you want to be doing as Priest. Sylvanas will be pretty valuable too. We don't see a Keeper of the Grove yet.
The damned stand ready.
Yeah, keeping on the pressure against Drew is the way that you make sure you don't fall too far behind on the board.
Yeah. Not the best draw in this situation. But Drew to the Claw in both capacities is still pretty rough to deal with for a priest.
I think it's about time to just drop Jungle Panther. It's gotta be the play. You know, in Ramp Druid,
It's not even stealth.
it's almost as good. In Ramp Druid, where I play 2 big game hunters, I actually keep them in my opening hand against Priest, just to play as a 4/2.
Okay.
Because the stats interact favorably against every minion that they play up until turn 5. Like it trades profitably with, Northshire, Cultist, kills Wild Pyromancer. It's like worst case scenario. So yeah, I don't mind Wrath.
What's the benefit of doing that over playing, say, Druid of the Claw?
I'm just always scared of Black Knight, even if it's an irrational fear.
Okay.
He's gonna go with this.
Charging the Wild Pyro.
Yeah. Also, if you play Druid of the Claw and your opponent plays Sylvanas, what do?
Cry.
Yeah.
I have no time for games.
Sylvanas would be pretty intimidating. 5'8".
Whoa.
Huge stats.
Yeah.
What other...
Well, from here, it's. I mean, Druid's going to climb up on the card count, but the Priest has to, it's pretty much essentially this Sylvanas or nothing.
Yup.
Although,
Let none
the
survive.
Naru is actually pretty good here.
Yeah.
Really good.
In the light's name.
It's very strong. Keeper of the Grove was picked up, but that 5/5 Sylvanas is still a big issue. Is this just going to be a double Keeper turn? God, that Cabal is going to be so good.
Yeah, Keeper of the Grove is the best you can ask for Druid, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
there's nothing else.
From almost any class. It's just so big.
I think Zombie Chow is like the only other target besides maybe like a silenced shade of Naxxramas, but Keeper of the Grove is definitely the best option.
Let me
I'll
change
be
your
taking
mind.
one of those.
Yeah, this is insane
Let
how
none
quickly
survive.
the board swings.
Yeah. I mean, this is all because it was hinged upon the fact that Priest was able to control the board for so long, take initiative, and Drew's just responding. And the good thing is that it hasn't been a lot of damage racked up, but there's so much health that's on the board, and the Shadow Word Death also denies any big minion from having a strong impact. It's tough.
Yeah.
Druid's ways to clear or to get back on board just feel just so inefficient.
Yeah, if you want to dedicate your Druid deck to being like Fatigue Druid or something, there are removal options available like Poison Seeds, but for a standard Druid deck, I mean, unless you're getting ambitious with Naturalize, the removal is just not ever really going to be that efficient. Right now, Ping's trying to decide between a lot of awkward options. Going to go with Taunt. It's fine. This is just the power of having Blade Master Circle. Not just that, but Dark Cultist, Wild Pyromancer, Sylvanas, just like a stream of minions. It's exactly what we want as the Priest.
Yeah, definitely. This Power Shield, pretty good too. It just continues to snowball the board a little bit more.
Yeah. He's had ways every turn to sort of deal with what PinpingHo has been doing, while at the same time making sure that he's continuing to develop his own board.
Yeah, shooting down this 2/2 as well with the Alchemy Soul Brace is okay. Just keep putting it out. Is Mind Control Tech pretty much cycled out of most decks here by now, Andre?
I saw Savitz playing it, but I think he was the only one. Yeah, it's not as common as it used to be because not every deck's playing Dr. Boom anymore. And there isn't as much Hunter, so Haunted Creeper isn't activating it for you. Recently, that sort of started to change just this week. We are seeing more Hunter, but still.
Oh, this victory march is pretty much what Darkwonyx needs to win the game, and if Druid can crush it one time, I don't know if Priest can come back from that. Is it which double 5 drops or is he pushing out here?
Well, I'm thinking the Taunt and the Lotheb.
Yeah. I think
But
Lotheb is sort of a must.
Yeah, if you save the Druid of the Claw, You can charge it next turn, which might matter. Maybe Sludge Belcher Loatheb's better.
You need at least some hope of keeping something on your board alive next turn. And I think Lotheb. Whoa!
Okay. So he uses to clear. And then intervene.
Yeah, that's a fun play. That's
Yeah.
actually very good.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
good in the sense that it's like the best that he could ask for.
Well, 2 off lethal.
Pretty uncomfortable, but he can pick up just the Holy Smite or something to do a little bit extra damage here. I mean, it stacks advantage. Drawing more cards. Darkwonyx so close to winning this game 5 and going to the top 4 for tomorrow in first place in this group.
PinpingHo is still holding on though. He's just looking pretty grim right now.
He's got like 2 fingers on the cliff, and Darkwonyx has his feet twisting on his pinky.
Darkwonyx has huge feet.
You're not digging that?
I don't think he'd
You're
be
not
able to
digging
hold on for
movie
that long.
analogy? All right.
If Darkwonyx stepped on your fingers, they would just shatter.
Probably. Because Darkwonyx pretty much causes an earthquake whenever he runs across the room. Just look at him. He just like pounds. He's over on the desk, and the desk furiously shaking.
He's not even moving his leg. That's just the tremors from when he actually walked onto the stage.
Steal is better than nothing this turn just because of how expensive everything is due to Lotheb. I wonder if Darkwonyx in the back of his mind is also worried about combo. Whoa! Stole a Dr.
Let none
Boom.
survive.
Wow.
Not sure how relevant that might be, but it definitely looks really cool.
It's a big threat, and his hand was sort of running low on big threats. What is Darkwonyx even doing right now? Weird hand signals. Might have been counting.
Yeah, just figuring out like what's the best move. What if he has combo? How much damage does he have? I think the answer is
Never seen someone
27. Yeah. Pretty scary still. This piloted Shredder could be pretty massive as well if it's a really good minion. Frostbite
it's-
Grunt.
I'd say it's average, maybe a bit below average.
Well, the good news is that this Black Knight, even though it didn't attack anything or remove anything, it's still a 4/5 minion. And he can't do Dr. Boom and the Holy
none
Fire. He's
survive.
13 mana, unfortunately. But what he can do is heal and then play one of these minions big, or he can play Dr. Boom after that. Nine, 13. He's counting just in case he dies to a Savage World, but he still should be good.
Just barely, though.
I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah, that's true. He got his own Dr. Boom. He doesn't really have much of a choice.
Yeah, not too much.
He has to account for possibility of Holy Fire, but this might just be a case where, I mean, he'll prevent some damage and just hope the priest doesn't have any direct damage. Of getting killed. And oh wow, with that innervate, it's an extra bit of burst. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
That priest
Extra
burst.
oh man, he can do an extra 2 burst.
Who said priest
maybe
can't burst?
maybe this pilot can save him.
oh
yeah.
there he is.
Oh, he's got him now.
Raynad's back on the couch.
That
Time
was
for the captain's
exactly what he
parents.
needed. What if the boombots, like he shoots the boombots kill Sylvanas or something? Oh wait, is that even possible? No. I think he was hoping the boombot would activate another boombot.
Yeah, absolutely everything had to go right here.
Yeah, and that's not going to be enough. So
Wow.
Darkwonyx, against all odds, uses Priest, one of the worst classes in the game,
Let
Yep.
none survive.
to advance to the top 4 of ESL Season 1.
That's impressive.
What a story.
Yeah, Blade Master's Circle, turn 3 against Druid, just super snowbally.
Said at the beginning.
Oh,
Ooh.
close.
The innervate, holy fire to the face.
Well, that wraps it up, and Darkwonyx goes to the top 4 and joins the lane in day 2 of the LAN. He's going to await the second place finisher of Group A. And he's going to do it on the back of his own decks and his own style once more. I think that's just so cool to see players like that be able to make it through, not having to play the normal decks that we've come to expect, like Rogue, for example.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch
Mage.
Darkwonyx. Always great, great decks. Just yeah, it seemed to work for him. He's comfortable with them. I'm glad to see it working out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that wraps up the Group B, and that means we will have PinpingHo fall to the runner-up match, and we'll find out between Chalky and Weifu tomorrow about who is going to advance from there, stave off elimination to fight for second place. It'll be 4 matches from the remaining groups, plus the 2 semifinals and the finals. And of course, Darkwonyx now guarantees himself 2,000 buccarinos.
Nice.
And doing it on the back of Priest for that game 5, it's sending a message, I suppose, that I mean, a lot of these players bringing decks that are sort of underrepresented in the meta right now. Silent Storm as well, making that mid-range Shaman work, when a lot of players were saying that was sort of down and out. So it's good to see every single class being represented at the Legendary
cool.
Series Grand Finals.
Well,
it's pretty cool.
I don't know if we've seen a Paladin.
Oh, no Paladin.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's surprising.
Which is
That
like,
class
you know,
isn't
everyone
bad.
says GVG Paladin. That's one of the classes that got the most help in the
I will
new
admit
expansion.
that I am wrong. I said to Frodan before this tournament happened that I was thinking some of these players were going to bring Paladin, but Frodan said, no, TJ, nobody is going to bring Paladin, and I'm going to shove it in your face.
Yeah,
He
that's
did
because
say
of the popularity of Rogue, I think.
Word
is
for
why.
word, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogue got so popular in the past 2 weeks, and yeah, it destroys Paladin.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let us know what you guys think, too. Are you guys happy Darkwonyx was able to make it with unconventional styles, or did he defeat PinpingHo and you're rooting for him instead? You can hashtag HLS, tweet at ESL Hearthstone, and let us know and join in the social conversation. And also, of course, we also want to give a big shout out while we're talking about support and growing the community. We have Gigabyte here who's been sponsoring us. They've been doing a great job lending us the help that we need in order to put on this production and have a lot of fun at the LAN. So thank you, Gigabyte, for making this all possible. And I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. We're going to have an interview. We're going to have some fun meme competitions at the end. We also have a special presentation following that as well. Still plenty more to come, but for now, we're going to have a word with Darkwonyx once again with Anastasia.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, congratulations to you, Darkwonyx.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And second of all, I would like to apologize to everybody for accidentally predicting the future and crowning Darkwonyx as the king of Group B, as the winner of Group B. How does that make you feel?
I haven't won yet, though. Still have some years to go.
You won Group B, though. You won both games, and I mean, you beat 2 people today. How do you feel that you're much more prepared for the games tomorrow?
I can scout my opponents, though, but I see how much I top deck tomorrow as well.
Yeah, you did get quite some good draws. So you said that you have to do some scouting for tomorrow. Talk to me a little bit about your process of preparation for tomorrow's event, for example. No big details, but are you going to take a nap? Are you going to take a bath? Are you going to eat a nice meal?
I'm going to eat a pizza. I'm going to take a bath and maybe like walk a mile and watch some VODs, I think.
Why not run a mile?
Nah, fuck that.
And with that, thank you for your time, Darkwonyx. Anything that you want to say to us for tomorrow? Any players that you absolutely want to face against? Anything you want to say to your adoring audience?
I hope Savage makes it so I can face him in the finals.
There we go. Anybody else?
Nah.
All right, then. You heard it here. Darkwonyx seems to think that him and Savitz are going to be in the finals tomorrow. Best of luck to both of you. I hope you have a great walk tonight with your mile. And be sure to stay tuned right in. I will be giving it right back to the casters as they have a few special announcements for you guys.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. You know what? She's been doing a great job. It's her first event. I'm really proud of her. And also really proud of Darkwonyx. But we also have some bad news. You can't meet Savitz in the finals, I think. If he advances in second place in the groups, you're going to play him in the semis. But still, it could be final caliber worthy, which is actually a great segue to pull up our graphics to talk about the brackets to see what's happened today in recap.
Yeah, of course. At the beginning of the day, of course, Group A, Zlay defeated Max in 3-1, and of course, Silent Storm defeated Savage 3-0 in a pretty clean sweep for that series. And Zalay made it to be the first player moving on to that round of 4 after a 3-0 performance against Silent Storm. So lots of big things happening in Group A.
Yeah, definitely. In Group B, it looks like PinpingHo started off by beating Weifu. Two Taiwanese players got paired against each other right off the bat. Then we saw Darkwonyx versus Chalky, with Darkwonyx advancing. And finally, yeah, Darkwonyx versus PinpingHo. So
that's right. So the group standing summarizes what you guys have seen on the screen. Tomorrow we still have to play the first elimination matches, Max versus Savitz, Weifu versus Chalky, and then the runner-up match after that. The 2 semifinals and the finals will take place thereafter, and it'll basically be doubling up once more from 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 to 8,000. And remember, the winner of this entire tournament gets a seed directly to the qualifier of IEM Katowice happening in mid-March for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships happening in Poland. So that's going to be a lot on the line too. No one's eliminated, but it's going to be a really fun time. The last thing we want to do is also thank our sponsors of Newegg, Plantronics, and Gigabyte. They've been, again, we want to just give a shout out to them for everything that they've done to make this LAN possible. So again, the way to support us is to support them and to click on any of the links or to just send them a thank you note as well. And with that, it's time for my favorite part of the day. TJ, what do we have coming up?
Is it the meme contest?
It is indeed.
Are we
going to
give out some packs?
In the very beginning of the day, I spontaneously asked people to just send their favorite memes because I sit next to Milkcast and all he does is browse dank memes. And what we wanted to do was to spread the love of our cheap internet humor. And so we asked people to send in their favorite memes and we would reward them with packs. Now, I was told that they picked 2 or 3. I wasn't able to see them, so I don't know what's going to come up. I hope it's totally SFW. But here is the first one. It's the Dank Frodan memes.
Dan Frodan.
Okay, I actually saw this one, all right, on Twitter. And apparently he's dug up every single picture
That
of
is
me.
beautiful.
Is that really me in every picture?
That
though?
is a work of art.
Some of it really doesn't look like me.
Someone send me that. I need that as my desktop wallpaper.
I'm pretty sure one of those was Tom60229.
Oh, jeez.
He's actually my Hearthstone spirit animal. Okay, so that was the first one. I think that was by PoopFeast420 on Twitter.
never changed.
So
internet.
congratulations. Second one is my face when I top deck swiped.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind at that moment?
I don't know, man. Why doesn't this ever happen to me?
That one hit home. That one hit home.
Awesome.
We don't know who submitted that one, but congratulations. You also have won a Hearthstone pack as well. And I think we have one more. We have one more prepared for you guys, so let's take a look and see what it is. Sometimes for calculating all these paints are not. Oh, dang. Shots fired.
Well,
or truth revealed, rather.
That definitely is not our greatest strength.
I like how they have our names on this, so that way we can forever be immortalized as people who just can't count.
That's
it's
awesome.
the curse of casting, man.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks. There's a lot of things to focus on. As soon as you sit on this couch, your ability to do math just
Just let it happen, TJ.
It's out of there.
Just let it happen. Thank you so much for all the people who submitted, and congrats to the winners. And tomorrow we'll probably continue the same thing. If you tune into the broadcast, you'll also win some Hearthstone packs for you to use. It's a classic set, of course, and we have those. And thank you to Blizzard for being able to distribute that. We're pretty much done, guys. Do you have any last words, comments, final thoughts on the day?
No, great games, great players. My 2 favorites at the beginning of the day were Zalay and PinpingHo, so I'm glad to see them doing pretty well. PinpingHo dropped a game, but I hope he makes it out of groups. I'd like to see a bit more Mech Shaman. I think that was kind of cool. And, yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, it's good to see sort of those underrepresented class shining. And I don't really see a real favorite. It's hard to pick one. A lot of players looked really strong. Zalay probably had the most overwhelming performances over his opponents. But really, tomorrow's a different day, and anything could happen.
Absolutely. So I think that's a good summary. I don't have to say any more. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. After this broadcast, we're going to have a special presentation. In fact, there's a big grudge match that's going to be happening, but it won't be related to Hearthstone. So stick around if you want to watch it. Other than that, we're done. So from the ESL production crew, from Frodan, TJ, and Raina, and everyone else here in Burbank, California, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific.